I remember the feeling of defiance taunt in my stomach. Imagine being hushed by society for just wanting to be heard. However, I wasn't alone. I had hundreds of women who stood beside me. Political parties were rising to soon be the National Women's Party that would change America forever. Women were being swallowed by a culture that catered to men. And as someone who wanted to rise against the agenda of the sexist, holding a picket sign would not be enough for the injustices the world served my gender. Few women had a valid opinion in politics and figures to represent and advocate their needs. In that moment, I knew I had to do something. My name is Alice Paul, and I could not help but step into the scene. I attempted to change what the word suffrage meant for all of us. Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence, "We hold these truths to be self-evident as all men are created equal." In the context of the 1920s, the word men was equivalent to people. This statement is not equivalent to equal rights, however. Why weren't women included? I ask again, why was equal rights exclusive to men? In another document that our founders wrote, it states, "We the people," implicating that we, us as a country, are making declarations. In these documents, it states it's evident that women were included among the people, but an individual woman had no political means for expressing her own will. Women were valued for and should be satisfied with indirect political involvement in creating a loving home and ensuring that their husbands were satisfied. The world around me said that women were legal property, being too emotional and not intelligent enough to have a say. My rebellion had to be aggressive in order to make an impact in Congress. We had no power, and influence was needed to shape the generations of America. You can label feminists however you want. Radical, bigoted, crazy. But something radical had to happen to change the mind and hearts of society. Finally, after World War I, the movement advanced deeply to soon give us a suffrage right that would soon be the 19th Amendment. This truly was a triumph in American history. However, throughout all triumph, there were trials and tribulations women in America had to overcome. All of this had to start somewhere. While in England, 1912, a woman, her name was Lucy Burns. At the time, we joined the women's suffrage efforts there. As we traveled back to the United States, Burns and I joined the National American Women's Suffrage Association. As time went on, I soon realized the association and I had different interests. Nassau was primarily focused on state-by-state campaigns, while I was primarily focused on the biggest issue of them all, the amendment. Our differences led others and I to eventually split with Nassau and form the National Women's Party. During my pursuit of protest, I had gotten arrested several times for my picket tactics. In 1909, my sentence was deemed to be 30 days of hard labor in Holloway Prison. My prison life did not consist of chains and uniforms. An article written by an English newspaper that interviewed me soon after my imprisonment. I said, "I practiced a hunger strike until November 11th. After that date, they fed me twice a day by force, except on one day when I was too ill to be touched. I have no complaints against the Holloway officials. I spent the whole time in bed because I refused to wear prison clothes. Each day I was wrapped in blankets and taken to another cell to be fed. The food was injected through my nostrils. During this operation, the largest wardress in Holloway sat astride my knees, holding my shoulder down to keep me from bending forward. 2 other wardresses sat on either side and held my arms. Then a towel was placed around my throat, and one doctor from behind force-fed my head back, while another doctor put a tube in my nostril. When it reached my throat, my head was pushed forward. Twice the tube came down my mouth and I got it between my teeth. My mouth was pried open with instruments. Sometimes they tied me to a chair with sheets. I once managed to get my hands loose and snatch the tube. I also broke a jug. But I didn't give in, although I had to pay the price for my freedom. That injustice means nothing to me if that paved the road for the suffrage right. World War I has ended. Throughout this time of political and economic recuperation, social tensions between women and the government have begun to resurface. Before the war, we started to make calls for our freedom and demanded changes to how we were treated and portrayed by society. We were fighting for the change that would soon give our future daughters, granddaughters, and on the life that we had dreamed of ourselves. The gender spherical world then had already aided others in the right of social acceptance. Other minority groups had already gained the right to vote. In 1870, the 15th Amendment about African rights were brought to light by Congress. Multiple bills have been passed giving minorities the right of suffrage, besides women. This is brought to light by the proclamation of the 15th Amendment. The bill stated, "The citizen's right to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of race, color, or previous conditions of servitude." Women like Susan B. Anthony and Cady Stanton were not afraid to speak up about the severity of this issue. And they didn't. Susan B. Anthony stated, "There will never be complete equality until women themselves help make laws and elect lawmakers." However, our movement was paused when the war began. We put down our pickets and assembly lines, and off we went to help our boys. We sacrificed our social and political mission for the good of our husbands, brothers, sons, and Uncle Sam. Now that the war has ended, we were once again focusing on the problems in our society. We women of America tell you that America is not a democracy. 20 million women were denied the right to vote. However, this inconvenience was not to be ignored by women any longer. Throughout the course of American society, women faced misogyny and the burning stigma of the male-driven world. However, after World War I, the movement advanced deeply to soon give us a suffrage right that would be the 19th Amendment. Their attempts had met them with the limitations and conditions that prevented their progressive cause. This is where American suffragists like me found their voice. We came to vocalize expressions about public health care, social works, and the inability to vote. The 20th century reels in. The role of women in our American society had begun to change drastically. We were working more, we were receiving substantial educations, and several states even passed the bill of female suffrage. In 1917, we greeted the first woman into female Congress, Jeannette Rankin. Congress then passed the bill of the 19th Amendment saying that the rights of citizens of the United States to vote should not be denied by or abridged by account of sex. We had broken the glass ceiling that would pave the way of the future forever. We began to see the 19th Amendment and how it could affect us forever. Having the 19th Amendment passed wasn't just about giving us the right to vote, but it also aided us women to become equal as men in society and gave us the ability to vote on issues to improve our own lives. Standing in front of you all today, I am without words to describe what relief and pride I see when I look out into this crowd and see women with freedom and rights and a say in what career path they want to take, the education they want to have, and most importantly, a voice and opinion that is heard by the world and will never be silenced again. This progressive mindset was something that could have gotten me killed, but I didn't care if that would make women equal to the rest of the world. This world was once sitting on the stagnant status of men. What I learned is that there's power in numbers, especially when there's a call for justice. I chose to not accept what I had been taught all my life. Because of that direction, my future has been changed. I'm Alice Paul, and I would do it all over again.